Hi everybody, it's Michael Pearce. It's not about health answers today. It's about this lovely woman right here. This is a picture of my mother Heather about 5, 6 years ago now. This is the last time she was able to drive herself out to a social function in Vancouver where she was living at the time in the Surrey area with one of my brothers taking care of her, Christopher. Thank you, Christopher, for all the hard work you did taking care of Mom. The reason I'm making this video today is tomorrow, December 11th, marks the third year since my mom passed. It's a hard day for me, and I thought I'd share a little bit about my mom so it would help everybody understand who I am and why I do what I do. My mom, Heather, was a strong minded woman. And in the 60s and 70s, that was not always appreciated or respected in a woman, especially by older male figures like my grandfathers on either side of the family who didn't really like each other or each other's children's choices for spouses. So you can imagine the stress. You've got an import family with a military guy from Wales. Yeah, recording. That's okay. That's just my wife stopping by to say hi, checking out what I was doing. Um, Part of the joy here of working at home is you get to do things with your friends and your family, like share valuable time during the day. I prepare the family meals here 6, sometimes 7 days a week for everybody that eats here, and that's usually anywhere from the two of us to 7 to 10 people. It's a lot of fun. It's very busy, very involved, very active. It's one of those things that kept me in touch during my recovery. It was having a lot of children and a lot of people around looking for me to do things. It's hard to say no when your 1 year old granddaughter climbs up on your knee and asks you to do something for her. So you get up and do it. You get up and move, and that improves everything. Now back to my mom after that interruption. Heather was always the sort of person to put everybody else before herself. I remember when I was young, Mum was the makeup lady at Colville Choristers here in Courtenay. She would spend many an evening helping other women to feel better about themselves and the way they presented themselves by properly doing their stage makeup for them, or in some cases showing them how to do their own stage makeup so that they could confidently go out and face the public. This is kind of funny because my mom was usually heavily involved on the in the production as well as behind the scenes of the production. So a lot of people would do one or the other. My mom was driven to do both. And if there was people coming from out town, she was the sort of person that would also offer to pick them up, drive them around on top of all her already busy activities. At this point, she had three and might have been expecting a fourth or a fifth child. My parents had very active social commitments, and it's part of the reason why I'm a social creature and I enjoy my community social activities. They participated in everything together while they were together, and then when one did a few things when she was on her own, but once she was on her own, which happened when I was 16, almost 17 years old, Mom lived for her children, and for 20 more years she raised children. The year I turned 18 and moved out of the house, my mom had my second to last brother, and when I was 21, my youngest brother Matthew was born. So my mom raised kids for 40 years straight from the time she was 20 years old to the time she was 60. And by the time she was 60, she had given of herself every single thing she had to do better for her children than she felt she'd had. And she'd always provided that warm, wholesome, family friendly environment. I can remember times where my mom was feeding, a family of six, herself and five other people, and there was always 4 or 5 other kids. She would never turn anybody away from the table hungry. There was always a blanket and a place on the couch, or if there was no place on the couch, a blanket on the floor with a blanket on top. We had plenty of spare sleeping bags, sometimes some pillows, sometimes just cushions. But Mom always made sure that the kids were fed and taken care of, even when it meant that maybe she was doing without herself or had to do a lot of extra work to make things work. But I learned from her and appreciate to this day the value of hard work because I always saw my mom doing the hard work. Part of the reason I became a professional chef is I was always marveled at how much and how many people she could feed on such a tight budget. And when I applied these basic mechanics to, first of all, the restaurant business, and second of all, the finance business, and then third of all, my natural health business, and now fourth, as I grow and evolve, to be an online marketer. And I don't know whether that's really the place I am at. I think I'm more of a master communicator with a passion for natural health and heart, getting to the heart of the matter so people can start and aid their own recovery and recovery process. Because basically, I don't want you to be sick and tired and broken down by the time you're 60 because you've given every single thing to your family and your community and you haven't saved anything for yourself. One of the things I've recently learned is giving and receiving must be in balance. For everybody giving, there must be somebody receiving, and for everybody receiving, there must be something giving. This was a relief to me because it's a lesson, and one of the few lessons I had not learned from my mom. Even though my mom was an amazing giver all her life and gave everything, including all her personal energy, to those that she loved and cared about, she did not hold anything back in reserve at all, and this caused her to be weak and old before her time. Um, it's actually maybe one of the reasons I woke up early and became that canary in the coal mine to remind everybody else to take care of their health instead of becoming a statistic. I had no idea till the heart attack that was triggered by my mother's death. And get that, there's a clue in that message. Dying of a broken heart isn't just a saying. I had a heart attack 30 days after my mom passed because I was not good at dealing with grief and stress, and between the pressure of being the oldest child and responsible for keeping six other siblings and all their families organized, sorted out, and happy during the grieving experience, I didn't really take very good care of myself. So 31 days after my mom passed, I was being airlifted to Victoria Royal Jubilee Hospital and having 4 stents put in my heart to begin my recovery journey back to health. That was 35 months ago. But 36 months ago, I lost the brightest light in my life, and now I have an angel in heaven looking down on me because since the day my mom left, every month another woman has been tapped on the shoulder and come into my life to help me. And I gotta say thanks, Mom. You've picked some really cool women. And now that I've gotten my head around it, I've started to pick some men and role model those men because for a long time I denied my maleness and didn't really respect a lot of guys because I didn't like their attitude, didn't like what they were teaching, didn't like what they were sharing, and especially when I got in the online space, I found myself more aligned with the feminine energy. But the way it works now is everything's going to the feminine, it's working. The masculine energy doesn't work, so it turns out, like having my heart attack and surviving, listening to female leaders and becoming strong pro-woman has served me well. Two-thirds of my audience is male, but two-thirds of my customers are female. That might be a reflection of how they respond to me. It also might be a reflection of the fact that women understand that health is something natural and that eating your way to health just makes sense. A lot of guys don't believe that they are what they eat or don't understand they are what they eat, so they won't listen to my message yet until they have that heart attack or that stroke or end up with diabetes or end up with cancer or some other horrible debilitating illness. Honestly, I'm not afraid of being weak and tired and feeble in my old age as my mother was. She got a walker when she was 62, and by the time she was 63 she was so blind she had to give up her driver's license, and it was really hard for her because her driver's license was her freedom and mobility. So it's just some pieces of the puzzle and some parts of what's made Michael. But because of the anniversary of her passing, I wanted to share with everybody a little bit about the strongest woman I've ever known, and that would be my mother, Heather, and she's part of the reason I am who I am, and I do what I do. So signing off, that's Michael Pearce. Good day.